am delighted to be here. We've been trying for 3 years, Andrew, and a few of you. So thank you for the invitation to speak. I'm honored to speak beside my colleagues here. I'll begin with a few images, and then I resisted the temptation of most scientists, and that is to show you lots of graphs and text. I don't know what Jay's got going on here, but it's so hard that I had to bring, I don't know how many pages of notes because I'm not going to be looking at slides. So this is India. You might have guessed. This is Delhi. Delhi is just one part of India. India is very complex and diverse. This is a typical village in India. Thousands and thousands of villages in India. This is a very poor village. This is a village that has a very high incidence of a disease called visceral leishmaniasis, or kala-azar, or black fever. And you wouldn't have known about that because these are invisible people in our world. These are voiceless people. And these are women, which means they're really invisible and voiceless. These are children from a community that we serve. Notice the red hair. These are Indians, and Indians don't commonly have red hair, right? This is due to nutritional deficiencies. And this baby obviously hasn't had a good time recently in terms of nutrition, perhaps had some severe diarrhea. This is kala-azar, or black fever. This is the first disease that we decided to pursue. We did it for a few reasons. I'll get into that later in my talk. But just look at this little girl, 4 years old. She's in the state of Bihar. Only 100 million people live in the state of Bihar. She presented with persistent fever, severe anemia, and other symptoms that you can read there. Kala-azar, or black fever, presents as HIV would present. In addition, as hemophilia would present. Hemophilia would be rare, HIV increasingly prevalent. The parasite, which is spread by a sandfly bite, goes to bone marrow and suppresses the production of white cells, red cells, and platelets. So you can die of an infection, you can die of severe anemia, or you can bleed to death. So this is a horrible disease, which fortunately only affects 1 million people or so in the world, but they are the people, about C.K. Pralahad's bottom of the pyramid. These are the poorest of the poor. These are the people that form that black line at the bottom of the pyramid. So we thought it very important to serve these people first. Unfortunately, look at the cost of a cure, $300. Her family, the average income for patients with kala-azar is 30 cents per day. So this is not an affordable therapy, which means her family chooses whether to go into bankruptcy and debt for generations or to let her die. Since she's a girl, you might imagine what an outcome would be. So it's important to make medicines that can save lives, that are safe, effective, and affordable, that are not being made right now. So 5 countries in the world. We're working now in Sudan, in India, Bangladesh, and Nepal, but need to go soon to Sudan and Brazil. This is palpating a spleen where the parasite also hides in people in a village. This is a splenic aspiration or biopsy in a clinic. And these are a few patients who are fortunate enough to be being treated in a clinical trial that we performed in the state of Bihar, India. So care was free, and patients were followed for 1 year to demonstrate final cure. This is our medicine, paromomycin. Paromomycin is an old antibiotic. It was first developed in 1959, and it had been used for 30 years, and then it went off patent, and there were oral antibiotics that took its place. So it disappeared. It was no longer manufactured. So we brought this medicine back from the shelves and manufactured it with a partner in Hyderabad, India. Clinical trial site, patient in a ward. Just as you would be in a clinical trial or with your physician. One of our research centers. It's important to train the people who will provide the care in the future. This is a pathologist in our program that did the diagnosis and the demonstration of cure. This is a cured patient who received one of our treatments. And the boy on the right who is dancing is also one of our cured patients. Our second program is in malaria. I'll leave that to Jay, partner with Jay Kiesling, and I'm very honored to do so. And our next program is in diarrhea, our third program, secretory diarrhea. Diarrhea kills 2 million babies a year. Half of them are in India, although researchers in Africa and clinicians in Africa say, the numbers in Africa are undercounted. So no one really knows how many babies die a year of dehydrating diarrhea. You die of dehydration. In Bangladesh, there's a lot of water. This is the dry season. This is a cholera hospital. Our father is providing what is a life-saving treatment, oral rehydration therapy. I am talking too long. I've got to get through this. A mother feeding her baby. But this is the most important stuff. This is where it's at. This is the work. In the middle of this family, this beautiful family, is a boy who successfully survived a cholera and is left quite emaciated. But he was healthy enough to be sent home, so he'll do fine. He needs to gain a lot of weight. And these are beautiful, happy, healthy children in Dhaka, Bangladesh. So we'll leave that slide up. And I'll speak of the work that we do and what motivated me to begin this nonprofit pharmaceutical company. And I'll end with some thoughts of lessons that I've learned since the year 2000 when we began. So the fact that 10 million children die every year, I learned this in the late 90s, to me was an appalling and absolutely unacceptable statistic. By the way, I went online last night. That's the population of, every year, okay? Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Massachusetts combined every year. 10 million children. Primarily, first cause pneumonia, second cause diarrhea. Then there is low birth weight, premature birth, malaria, and AIDS increasingly. My personal journey began at the Food and Drug Administration after my PhD. I wanted to learn how to develop medicines, not just the way one company develops them, but the way everyone develops them. I had a tickle that I might want to do something different. So 5 years at FDA were fabulous, actually, but I don't have the character to remain a U.S. government employee too long. So came back, but it truly was a fabulous job. And if more of you went to work for the U.S. government, you'd change it, and it does need to be changed. Talk about it another time. Okay, came back to my beloved Bay Area and went to work for Genentech, a large biotechnology company, and had a fabulous time until one day I decided I wasn't having fun anymore. So I resigned, and I was considered crazy because I didn't have another job that I was going to go to. I wanted quiet. I wanted to settle this confusion that was in my mind. What was I thinking? I had everything that I wanted. I was developing medicines at a fabulous company. The medicines are, Genentech's now a cancer company. The medicines were for fewer and fewer people, less and less of the planet. Biotechnology products are very expensive. The fact that they are so expensive is a challenge related to the malaria program that Jay Kiesling and our organization are partnered in. We proved that that was not the case. It didn't need to be the case. So I had a combination of both extreme pride. I am very proud to be a pharmaceutical scientist, and at the same time, shame that we were not, as an industry, doing all that we could. And if you know that more can be done, how can you not do it? I had to leave and be quiet to figure out the answer to that question. So here's the problem. There's only one place in the world where if you need new medicines, and for infectious diseases, we do need new medicines all the time, right? Resistance develops. these parasites or viruses or bacteria, figure out a way that penicillin won't kill them. So we need to keep going with anti-infectives of various kinds. And the pharmaceutical industry is the only one that knows how to make new medicines. Generic pharmaceutical companies make, when products are off patent, lower cost copies, equivalent copies, but they don't make new medicines. So the pharmaceutical industry had to be engaged. So I designed an experiment as a scientist. Couldn't we do this? Couldn't we develop medicines in a pharmaceutical company that was the same as any other pharmaceutical company, except that it was not driven by profit, that venture capitalists didn't fund it, but philanthropists funded it. So could we just change that one variable, make that one change, and see if we couldn't develop a drug? So that was our first proof of concept, was to develop a medicine pretty quickly, because the program still cost several tens of millions of dollars. So develop a medicine, get it approved for use in the developing world, do clinical trials, take it through regulatory authorities, have it made, manufactured, secure that manufacturing at a very, very low cost, and then get it out to people. So that's what we've done with Kala Azar. You saw in the first few slides, visceral leishmaniasis, the girl with the big belly. We have a cure that costs $10. It is 21 days of... Thank you. Thank you. There are many, 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 many people who work to make this happen, most of them Indians. So on behalf of them, thank you. $10 is still a lot, though, isn't it, for someone who makes 30 cents a day? But it's a big difference from $300. But the government of India invited us to work there and said, if you make the drug, and if it is effective, safe, and affordable, we will use it. And we will buy it for the people. It will be a free treatment. And we will eliminate this disease. So the ministers of health of India, Bangladesh, and Nepal got together in 2005 at the World Health Assembly and said, let's eliminate visceral leishmaniasis from South Asia. That would leave it then in the Horn of Africa and in Brazil. So it's fabulous to create a tool, a public health tool, that is now, it's a little bit of a slow process when you're working with changing health policy. 1 year later, 1 year after drug approval, so last August was drug approval, now is being rolled into demonstration programs within the government of India to use it to eliminate disease. So it's fabulous. Our second proof of concept, which we'll let Jay talk mostly about, was challenging the concept that high technology, advanced technology, is expensive. And not only could poor people not afford it, poor people don't deserve it. And that was a concept that I just couldn't live with. Medicines are miracles, and technology is miraculous, and all of humanity needs access to the best medicines. So in this program, we are demonstrating, still ongoing, but we are coming into our final year and a half of the program, that we actually can use the world's most advanced technologies to benefit humanity and make products affordable. In this case, malaria. And we'll move on to diarrhea. There isn't time to talk about that now. Let's talk about, let's change a little bit and talk about whether what the work that we've done at OneWorld Health means, a nonprofit pharmaceutical company. I would argue to you that we've proven two concepts to be true, and that is that you don't have to have 10,000 people and lots of stockholders and be a company that brings back huge revenue to develop a medicine, a medicine to treat as a new cure. We've also talked about whether, if you're not a large, wealthy company, you can have access to the most advanced technologies. That also has been demonstrated to be not true. So I would argue to you, and maybe we can debate this a little in the Q&A portion, that if you can develop a nonprofit pharmaceutical company, and this is in the pharmaceutical sector, as wealthy as the industry is, as powerful as that industry is, why can't you develop a nonprofit company in any industry? Okay? in transportation, in communication. I would argue that you can. You need a lot of thought about doing it wisely. And you should have your end goal in mind. Our end goal, my end goal, personally, again, blending that pride with shame, was to figure out a way to bring industry back to the diseases of poverty, the neglected diseases. So difficulties that we've encountered on our path. There are too few leaders in global health, and of the leaders that there are too few big commitments. There are too few commitments to make big changes. So I was very proud to be a grantee of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who on Wednesday declared that they are going to commit to eradicating malaria. Their prior commitment, isn't that fabulous? Eradication. Eradication of malaria. This was their initial goal. We want to stop all deaths from malaria. And they've been working on this for 11 years. And they realized the only way to stop all deaths from malaria was to eliminate malaria from the planet. That's what they're going to do. They will not back off, and they need a lot of help, a lot of partners. So it's their intention to bring everyone together, which is one of my points a little bit later. But some of the greatest difficulties that we've encountered in our journey have been human obstacles. So we're talking about human impact here today, and unfortunately, the obstacles are that of lack of will, or political challenges, or competing priorities, just not making a decision to commit. And those are all under the control of humans. So we can do what we want to do. We can achieve what we want to achieve if we commit to it, even the eradication of malaria. We've also learned that how you do your work is just as important as what you do. We have, in the 7 years that we've been working, become Indian. First, because it's really cool, and the food's so fabulous, and I still haven't figured out how to tie a sari so that it doesn't fall off, but I'm gonna get there. Pins, big safety pins is cool. How you do your work determines the impact of your work. Whether you partner, whether you collaborate, whether you respect, whether you are respected, the level of trust that people have in you. So don't forget the how, and don't be obsessed with the drive to complete the goal, because the how is more important and will determine in the end the true magnitude of your impact. I have been blessed, in my last 2 minutes, with an inordinate number of awards and incredible media coverage, not just for myself personally, but also for OneWorld Health. And we've tried to use that to advocate for neglected diseases and for the diseases of poverty. And the fact that because people are poor and have different diseases, their diseases can't compete against the blockbusters that are available in our Western society, that you and I buy. We contribute to blockbuster markets and sales of these medicines. So having awareness, even for Americans, that there are diseases in the world that people have and die from, that we don't have in our society, and that there's no one working on them. There are no pharmaceutical companies addressing many, many, many tropical diseases and diseases of poverty. And I feel that I have an obligation and have much gratitude for all that I have received and we as an organization have received, and have to really take that out for as long as it continues, and it won't forever, to take the word out and really to advocate. It's not enough to give awards, though, to single individuals or single organizations. What it really takes to have an impact is for people to come together. So I would really like to propose, and let me end here. No, I have one more point I want to say. I would propose a challenge to organizations that make awards and give awards, again, that are fabulous. And that is that the awards begin to be given to groups of people who come together, who do different things, who speak different languages, who see the world differently. So it's not just global health and making new medicines. It's not at all. It's education, it's clean water, it's nutrition, it's women's empowerment, all of that is poverty. And we all need to come together if we're going to impact poverty and save lives. So let me end on one note. That is Anita Roddick, the founder of The Body Shop, died recently. Her memorial is in London this week. And I didn't have a chance to meet her, but she was one of my role models. And one of her, a quote from her, she has many, and she was an activist for environment and human rights, animal rights, good wages. There is no more powerful institution in society than business. And that's true in our world. It is more important than ever before for business to assume moral leadership in society. So I didn't know Anita, but we thought alike. And what I'm trying to do, with the help of many others and collaboration and partnerships, is to bring the industry back to where it was and where the vast majority of the employees of the industry want to be. And that is in making medicines for the whole world, for everyone, like they used to. What is that path? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it cost? What do we get for it? How are we going to get hurt by pursuing that path? Are all things that we're committed to working through with industry in the next couple of years, well, decades. So thank you.